Oh, now we're recorded. You must call in as well as logging on to this webinar, or you can just listen. If you are just listening, you can also follow along. We have attached handouts for this webinar on our website, www.va-itsnetwork.org. In order to ensure that everyone is able to hear the webinar, everyone has been muted. Throughout the webinar, you can type in questions for our presenters by using the chat box feature off to the side. If time allows, we will try to answer some questions. We would also like to take care of a few logistics before we get started. As I mentioned, you can type the questions in the chat box. If you are having any technical difficulties, you can also type those questions in that chat box, and Lisa Klein will help you with that, hopefully. During this webinar, we will be asking you to participate by, quote, raising your hand or taking a poll. When we get to these portions, we will advise you on how to do that. I also want to mention that it's much easier to see the slides if you make them full screen on your computer. Okay, so let me take a minute to give you information about the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. The network strives to achieve excellence in early care by increasing the education level and skills of those who care for our infants and toddlers, whether in family homes or in centers. 15 highly qualified infant and toddler specialists work in 9 regional offices across the state. The specialists provide 3 levels of services designed to strengthen the capacity of early care and education programs to deliver high-quality services. If you would like to find out more information about these services and meet your infant and toddler specialist, please visit our website to find out more information. Again, that website is www.va-itsnetwork.org. Today, our webinar is titled Growing Your Professional Self. And our objectives today is that we really want to look at the Virginia Competencies for Early Childhood Professionals and also the new Impact Registry as a tool for your professional development. We'll also look at the education pathways and explore your professional development and how there are some other resources throughout the state and online that you can use. I also want to take just a quick minute to let you know we will have a couple additional guest speakers. We have the great honor of having 2 early childhood professionals be our guest speakers. Let me introduce them. The first one will be Katie Squibb, who works with the Virginia Early Childhood Initiative on a number of initiatives, including QRES and Project Pathfinders. And then we will have Dana Childress speaking. Dana is an early intervention professional development consultant with the Partnership for People with Disabilities at Virginia Commonwealth University. So now I would like, again, to thank everyone for joining us today. And then after we have one quick poll that we would like to take on the next slide. So we have a question. We want to know who we have out there listening today. So this is our first poll question. So just click on the appropriate response. We would like to know, what is your role? Are you a director? Are you an infant caregiver? Are you a toddler caregiver? Or are you a consultant? So all you need to do is take your mouse and click on the correct one. Okay. I see. Hopefully you see this graph as well as I do. We have lots of directors and lots of toddler caregivers and infant caregivers and even some consultants. So that's great. I love that we have a wide variety on our webinar today, and I bet we have a lot of experience out there listening. So today our first speaker is going to be Lisa Everett, my colleague in the North Central region. Take it away, Lisa.
Thanks, Paula. Hi, guys. So this webinar is about professional growth. Professionalism is a journey that starts when you join the workforce, and it doesn't end until you leave. It's an ongoing, ever-changing, fluid process that pushes you to grow and learn every single day. So without a plan of attack, it can be really hard to stay on course and not get caught up in your day-to-day duties. It's really important to have a personal professional development plan. Maybe you've already know the direction that you want to take, or maybe you're still trying to figure it out. But by developing a plan, establishing specific time-oriented goals, and committing it to paper, it will help you achieve your goals and remind you of the wonderful work that you've accomplished each year. Throughout this webinar, we'll be asking you to participate by raising your hand. If you look next to the green dot next to your name on the participants list, there's a drop-down arrow. If you click on the drop-down arrow, it should give you the opportunity to raise your hand or lower your hand. So we're going to test this out. If you could, and you can figure that out, raise your hand if you already have a professional development plan that you helped develop. We'll take a minute to let you guys figure that out. Is anybody able to raise their hand? Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm seeing some. Awesome. Look at all of you. Great. I love seeing that you guys already have the professional development plans in place. That's really awesome. So many times we know where we want to go, but we're not quite sure how to get there. So this webinar is designed to show you tools that can help you find the path that's meant for you. We're going to start with a tool that helps with skill building. This can be really helpful when you're trying to figure out which trainings are best for you throughout the year. Virginia's Early Childhood Development Alignment Project sponsored the development of these competencies for early childhood professionals. It's a wonderful tool for everyone in the early childhood field, no matter what their role. And as we saw, we have a bunch of different roles on this webinar today. This is a set of competencies that we as professionals should be working on building. So on your screen, you can see what the cover of the book looks like. It looks really similar to the Milestones for Early Learning book, and so we want to make sure that you're able to distinguish between the two books. The competencies book that we're talking about today is the one with the blue header, as you can see. So while there are hard copies of this book floating around, they are becoming more scarce. So if you do have one, treasure it and take very good care of it. But as we're becoming more digital and tree-friendly, we're finding that many of our resources can be located on the internet in their entirety. It's a great place to access these resources is on the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network website, which again is www.va-itsnetwork.org. So because we're on this webinar, I was able to take a screenshot of our website, and I scrolled all the way down to the bottom of the screen so you could see. If you look, you can see that there's 4 medallions of different colors, and we're going to focus on the blue medallion. All of these medallions are resources for you, and they're all available to you at any time to download. But this blue medallion is labeled for us as the competencies for early childhood professionals. You're able to download it and print it, so you can keep a hard copy if you choose, or you can just use it digitally on your screen. So on the next slide, we're going to have a poll question for you. This is just an image to kind of lead you into the poll, which will be on the next slide. So let's look at how familiar are we with the Virginia competencies for early childhood professionals? Are you kind of with these little puppies and you've just never really heard of it, or have you heard of it and maybe just flipped through it a little bit? Are you someone who's familiar with the different competency areas that are in the book? Or do you already use it as a plan to plan out your professional development plan? We're going to flip to the next slide so you can choose your answer. It's the same as the poll before. If you just click on the answer, we'll be able to see the results in a moment. I know some of you are still clicking, and that's awesome. As we can see, oh no, there's a bunch of people who haven't really heard about it, which is, I'm so glad you're here so we can talk a little bit about it because it really is an awesome tool. And for those of you already using it, I hope that this is a helpful way to get you to use it a little bit more. So we're going to take a look at the areas of competencies that are listed in the book. There are 8 competencies, and we're just going to list them off real quick like they're listed on your screen. The first competency is health, safety, and nutritional practices. Then we have understanding child growth and development, appropriate classroom observation and assessment, partnering with families and communities, learning environment, effective interactions, program management, and teacher qualifications and professional development. Every time you attend a regional cluster training hosted by the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network, you receive a certificate. On that certificate, below the training topic, you'll see that we list the competency areas for that training. It's our hope that you're attending a variety of our trainings each year and that at some point you've received training covering most of these different competencies. Think back to the last training you attend and just think to yourself, do you know what the competency would be for that specific topic? If you can just glance at the screen. Do you know which topic this webinar would be covering? Just think to yourself. All right, so the state of Virginia requires providers and licensed facilities to have 16 training hours per year. The information you learn through these trainings can be compared to a little seed. The information is planted in your head, and then you need to take time and care and energy to make that information grow and sprout. Seeds need time and attention to grow to their truest form, just like the ideas and concepts you learn during trainings. The trainings you attend should plant a seed of new ideas that translate into practices in your classroom. I know sometimes it may feel like we just keep learning the same things over and over. The subjects may be the same, but how we're tending to them should be evolving. Are you giving your professional self the care, attention, and energy it takes to grow and blossom? We can use the competencies for early childhood professionals as one way to ensure that you're continuing to flourish. All right, so I want you guys to take a minute and look at the screen. Hopefully you can see, if you're on the webinar, you can see a picture of a garden. I want you to pretend that this garden represents my professional development. So when we think about my professional development as a garden, we can see that I have different rows planted for different subjects. I want you to think about, looking at this. Do you think that there are certain rows that maybe I should be working on a little bit more? Maybe I've had lots of health and safety trainings, right? Looks like I've only had a couple effective interactions trainings, and I don't even see a partnering with families and community training on there. We all have preferences of training topics that we find interesting, but it's important to remember that we all need attention every year. That they all need attention every year, I'm sorry. All right, so my garden has grown, and it's the end of the year, and I'm looking at all the trainings that I've attended all year long. What kind of salad am I serving? What kind of trainings have I gotten? Are they colorful and full of energy? Have they complemented each other, and are they helping us continue to grow? We can use the competencies for early childhood professionals to ensure we have a well-balanced variety of skills and knowledge, just like you want a well-balanced salad. Using the competencies as a guide is a way to ensure we're polishing a variety of skills, but also as a way to know that we can take the information we have learned to the next level. Every training we attend, even if it's a familiar content, has the ability to teach us something new if we look at it through a different lens. The competencies can help us know what lens to look through next. So they're designed to be built upon just like a garden year after year. And at the end of the year, we hope that we're able to put all of our hard work together and that we're tossing together a variety of new skills, and that every year it'll grow into a bigger, better version of our professional self. So for a minute, we're going to take a closer look at the competencies book. I know it can be kind of scary if you just pick it up and see all these charts and words, so we want to try to make it a little bit less scary for you guys. Each of the 8 individual competencies starts with an overview. So as you can see, the pink line tells us what competency we're looking at, and currently we're looking at teacher qualifications and professional development. Don't worry if you can't read it, if it's too small, that's not the important part. I just want you to be familiar with what the page looks like. So when we look at the overview, it tells us the rationale as to why this is so important for us to know and master, and it breaks down the different content areas for that specific competency. You can see here that for qualifications and professional development, it's been broken down into 4 different sections. Within this one area, we're expected to have skills in commitment to quality, professional development, advocacy, and ethics. So we're going to look a little bit closer at number 2, professional development. So when we turn the page in the book, this is what we see. We can see where they've labeled the content area that we focused on. As I said, we're going to look closer at professional development, so you see where it says number 2, professional development. And then we can see that each box is listed as a skill or competency that early childhood professionals are expected to display. So we look at the hygiene and appropriate dress. And you can see there that there's 4 different levels that it's broken down to. So at level 1, the most basic of them, we should be practicing appropriate hygiene and dress to participate in a variety of activities with our children throughout the day. So this tells us if we're wearing a nice dress and high heels and we don't want to get dirty, are we prepared to work in an infant room all day? Probably not. So a person doing that would not be meeting the first level of competencies for this area. But you can see that for each level, the expectation goes up. So by level 3, it expects that we'll be role models and encourage others to meet levels 1 and 2. And by level 4, we're seeing that we're in a position where we are creating and implementing strategies and systems to ensure that all staff are meeting the competency for dress and hygiene every day. I hope you can tell how those build upon each other for each skill set and how you could use this book to help build those skills. Each competency presents us with basic skills that we should have when we enter this job. And when we go to trainings, the information we're receiving is helping us to get to the next level of competency. Just like a professional athlete, the actions we go through each training may be the same, but with each practice, the skill becomes stronger and more refined. Can you raise your hand if you understand how the competencies would show you how to build upon each skill? Awesome. All right, thank you guys for being interactive with me. That helps me. For each competency in each of the 8 areas, it's laid out exactly like this. So I hope that you're able to see that it's not as scary. It does look like a whole bunch of words in the book, but they are each laid out in this exact same way for each competency. So before you go to your next training, I want you to think about what competency areas you might be learning about in that training. Choose your areas and your trainings based on what competencies in your life may need more attention. So remember your garden. Do you need to plant more of a variety? Do you need more health and safety trainings, or have you done a bunch of them this year? Could you use more work on partnering with families and communities? So think about that when you're signing up for trainings. How am I able to help continue to grow my professional self? After the training you go to, reflect on the information. You can look back at the competencies book and take what you've learned and see if you can take it to that next level. This will help you to continue to grow. There are many training hours, conferences, and educational programs throughout the state to help us grow as professionals. So how do we know which path takes us to our best professional development and our best career and to the next level? Christy is going to help us by looking at some resources that will help us find the route that's right for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lisa. Some wonderful and useful information there. So our topic today is growing your professional self and going through professional development. And I'd like to get to know how you feel about training. You have these requirements. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that. So I'm going to show you, whoops, it went too far. Go back one. A couple pictures. I want you to take a look at these pictures and see if you might describe training like the first picture, like a trapped prisoner. Maybe you're forced to go to training to get the hours, or maybe you're required to go to a specific training and you're not allowed to choose which topic that you attend. Or maybe the vacation picture better describes how you feel because it gets you out of the classroom. Maybe you have some choice in what you go to and when, so your mind might be open and ready to learn new things as well as share techniques with others in your class. And if these 3 choices don't express how you feel, then just add a word or two in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead to the next slide that shows the actual poll, and if you could choose which one you think best describes you. And if you do choose other, please feel free to add a word in the chat box to help describe your feelings on that. So I'll take a few moments to let you answer there. Okay, we've got some steady responses. And those of you who are on the call, you're welcome to add in your thoughts as well. Okay, we've still got some voting going on. Looks like we're slowed down though. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the results here. All right. So what a wonderful feeling as a presenter that 91%, almost 92% of you are open-minded and looking to learn some new things and share some techniques, which is wonderful. Some of you maybe you're describing this one or another one, but you're in vacation mode, which I think is it's valuable. Just like when kids go on a field trip, they feel like, yay, we're getting to go do something fun. Well, sometimes they learn something at the field trip as well. And the captive prisoner, hopefully you're not feeling that way today. Hopefully you're in a comfortable space on this call. But I can certainly understand some of that feeling if you're required to go to something specific or mandated. That's one thing I think I appreciate about college. You got to pick some of your courses, and the courses that were required, I just probably didn't quite give as much of myself to that coursework. So I appreciate you sharing your feelings. I'm going to move on to the next slide here. And however it is that you feel about training, we know it's a requirement, and one of the reasons we created this webinar was to share how you can make your training experience further your professional journey. So I get to share some new and wonderful things that have been recently introduced in our state that can help you prepare and organize your professional garden. So this slide is showing the career pathways for early childhood, and it's actually one of the handouts you can download from our website if you're having trouble seeing it here. What you can see is that it's broken down into 9 numbered levels on the left-hand side, and it also includes a foundational level at the bottom. I'll summarize each section so you can get a quick understanding of this tool. So the bottom section, which is yellow, represents those who get at least 24 hours of training and meets other basic requirements such as first aid and CPR. The next section, which is green, represents those who have decided to take their trainings a step further, and they're earning anywhere from 48 to over 120 hours. Now, they may have attended some community college courses, earned a CDA, or a certificate awarded through the Virginia Department of Social Services. Finally, the blue section at the top represents those in the field who have completed a degree in early childhood from an associate's to a doctoral degree, which does include courses related to young children. The career pathways can help you plan your training, your education, and career development goals so that you can be well prepared to educate, nurture, and meet the needs of young children and their families. Please note that you can begin your professional development journey at any level. So if you wouldn't mind, take a quick look and see on which level do you think you find yourself. So you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know which level represents my accomplishments? Well, we have the answer for you here on the next slide. It's known as Virginia's Early Childhood Professional Development Registry. It's called IMPACT, it's called IMPACT, or IMPACT for short, and it stands for Innovative Model for Professional Advancement and Career Tracking. Did you get all that? Nope, don't worry, me neither. I can never remember, and I have a hard time trying to recite that from memory, so I always have to read it every time I'm sharing that. We just call it IMPACT Registry for short. You also have another handout available on our website. It's titled IMPACT, and it bears the same logo that you see on the bottom of this slide. So raise your hand if you've heard of the IMPACT Registry. Your hand may still be raised from another previous poll, so we probably should have mentioned if you've raised your hand before, you need to lower it and then raise it again. So if you've heard of the IMPACT Registry, looks like we have a few, but not too many. Some of us still might be trying to figure out how to raise our hands, and I am patient with that. I understand that. Technology sometimes is not our friend. Well, it is new, so I know that it's still sort of working its way around. Well, it's a voluntary statewide tool that can help you identify your professional level as well as plan your professional educational goals and career advancement opportunities by documenting and recognizing your professional achievements. The registry is still in its infant stages and certainly seems overwhelming when you first take a look. It certainly looks like a lot of work, but I've already begun the process of entering information in, and I have found that it is a valuable resource. So let me tell you how. The registry tracks your training hours, courses you've taken, degrees or certifications you've earned, and can help you develop educational or career goals that ensure that your professional development is going to help you move your professional self forward. Another benefit to using the Impact Registry is its ability to add to your portfolio. It can help you create a resume to share with licensing or future employers. And using this tool, you can also be awarded a professional development certificate that identifies which of the career pathways levels you've achieved once you've entered in proof of your education and your training hours. So this Impact Registry, combined with the Career Pathways tool, can help you identify where you are on that, and also on one certificate show others the level of which you've achieved. Please note that the information that you enter into the registry is confidential, secure, and password protected. It's only accessible by you. So I have the wonderful pleasure of introducing a good friend of mine who is going to share some additional pathways to your professional development. Katie Squibb is here with us, and one of her roles is developing professional development as well as sharing opportunities for you to increase your professional growth. So she's going to share some valuable scholarship programs for early childhood educators. Katie?
Thank you, Christy. You guys hear me okay?
Yep, we got you.
Okay, good. So as Christy said, I work on a variety of different initiatives, but currently I'm working with the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation, and so I'm here today to chat with you guys about two different scholarship opportunities. The first one is called Project Pathfinders, and the second one is actually the Department of Social Services scholarship, the Virginia Child Care Provider Scholarship Program, which is the second logo that you see on your screen. And that's a scholarship that's been around for several years, so it may be something that you're familiar with. But the top one, Project Pathfinders, is a new opportunity, so that may be something that's new to you. So as I said, I work for the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation. I work as part of the team that's responsible for administering the Project Pathfinders initiative, which is a larger initiative to elevate and bring awareness to the important work of early childhood educators. The scholarship is actually just one component of Project Pathfinders, but obviously it's the component that fits best with growing your professional self. So as I mentioned, there's two scholarships we're talking about today, Project Pathfinders and the Child Care Provider Scholarship through the Department of Social Services, which sometimes is called the DSS Scholarship. And some of you may already know about or have accessed the DSS Scholarship because, as I said, it's been around for several years. And its purpose is to help early childhood educators who are currently working with young children to take college classes. So that's fairly straightforward. There are some limits with regard to how many classes you can take during a certain semester or requirements for maintaining grades in the classes that are paid for through that scholarship. The DSS contact for that scholarship is named Stephanie Daniel, and she's a wonderful, extremely helpful lady who works there. And there's additional information about that scholarship in the resources that accompany this webinar. So that has more information about deadlines and requirements and all of those types of things. The second scholarship, I know that I talked about the one on the bottom first, but now we're going to talk about the one on the top. So the second one I'm going to talk about is the Project Pathfinder Scholarship, which is very similar to the DSS Scholarship, but it's different in a couple of ways. So it's designed to assist child care providers with completing a specific credential or certificate or degree. So this scholarship fund is funded by the General Legislature of Virginia, and it's being administered in partnership between the Virginia Early Childhood Foundation and also the Virginia Community College System. So all of the scholarship dollars through Project Pathfinders are for community college level classes. So as I mentioned, this scholarship is really designed to promote completion of a specific credential or degree. And so for that reason, we have put in place a scholarship coordinator who has been working with our applicants to really help them to tap into other sources of funding as well. And one of those sources of funding is the Department of Social Services Scholarship. And also our coordinator works with students who have already made the most of other resources, so they've already kind of maxed out their dollars through other grant programs or other scholarship programs. but they still have some courses to complete before they can earn that certificate or degree that they're aiming for. So Project Pathfinders is really designed to help people complete their goals and meet their goals for professional development and accomplishment. So Project Pathfinders is set up to be a very supportive process. There are dollars in place to support the costs for books and fees, which are sometimes available through other scholarships, and sometimes books and fees are not covered by other scholarships. So we have fees, funds for those costs as well as tuition. And as I mentioned, there's a coordinator in place to assist people with the application process. Project Pathfinders is available for currently employed child care providers who work with children aged birth through pre-K. And these individuals should be seeking a specific credential or certificate or degree. So you need to have a professional goal in mind already in order to be eligible for Project Pathfinders. So for more information about kind of the eligibility requirements, application deadlines, and other information, there are additional resources available that accompany the webinar, as well as links to the application itself, pretty much everything that you need, and the contacts to reach out for more information or more questions if you don't see what you need in that resource document. Anything else, Christy?
No, but I did have one. You
Sure.
wanted me to remind you about, I believe it was the Project Pathfinders deadline, which was maybe coming very soon.
Right.
It
is. Yes, that's very accurate. So I think that you'll want to go, it's something that you'll want to go directly to the Project Pathfinders website, and that link is available in the resources, and get the exact date for it, because if it isn't right now, it's coming right up. So I would definitely encourage anybody who's interested to not wait to go to that link and explore it, and also to know that there are they can start working on their application for the next semester, even if they're not able to tap into it for the fall. So that it's a kind of a rolling application basis, so you'll want to go ahead and start preparing for the next semester if this semester's window has closed.
Great, thank you. And just a reminder that if you do have questions for our guest speakers or for your presenters, please feel free to use the chat box and we will answer them at the end. So thank you so much, Katie, and we appreciate you taking time out of your oh-so-busy schedule to be with us today.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So next I get to introduce Dana Childress. She works as part of Virginia's Early Intervention Professional Development Team, which is represented here on this next slide. Let me get my fingers ready to move it over. They provide web-based and in-person training and resources for service providers who support families of infants and toddlers with developmental delays and disabilities. Dana manages content for the Virginia Early Intervention Professional Development Center and writes the Early Intervention Strategies for Success blog. Dana, we're so lucky to have you share your expertise with us, so thank you.
Thanks, Christy. So I'm really excited to be here. We always like to talk about our Professional Development Center and get the word out to other folks who might be able to use it. So as Christy said, I work for within Virginia's Early Intervention System. So we provide resources for the therapists and the teachers and the service coordinators who go out in the community and work with families who have infants and toddlers with developmental delays and disabilities. So we often go to families' homes, but we also quite often work with child care providers, and we love working with child care providers because you guys have a wonderful opportunity to make a difference in the child's development. So often early interventionists and child care providers share the same children and families. So I'm hoping that some of the resources we've developed to support the professional development of the early interventionist might be of use to you guys on the phone. And so I'm happy to share some. I'll just kind of highlight some of the particular aspects of our resources, and then I certainly invite you guys to go and play around. So on the screen you see a screenshot of our homepage. Our site is the Virginia Early Intervention Professional Development Center, a nice long title, but you see the URL at the bottom. And for those of you on the phone, I'll read that. The URL is www.veipd.org/main. So you can just, if you search for VEIPD, we pretty much will pop up for you. So there's lots of stuff on this site, and what we try to do is post free resources. So I'm going to show you one place, a direct place to go, and to start looking. So you can visit our early intervention topics and trends page. It's probably one of the best go-to places you can find. I'm going to try to use my cursor here. So as you can see here, we've got lots of different, oh wow, I can drop lots of cursors. You can see we've got lots of different topics here. So you can visit this site, click on the early intervention topics and trends, and you can look up whatever we have here. We have information on children with autism spectrum disorder. We have child development and play. We have cognition, communication delays, and disabilities, which is probably one that's interesting to a lot of you. I know we certainly see so many children in child care provider systems where they're having a delay in their communication. I'm sure you do too. Christy's absolutely. Thank you, Christy, for replying to Deborah there. So there's lots of information here about motor delays. You might have a preemie that comes into your care, so you can find out some information about prematurity. We also have information about sensory processing and social emotional development, which is a hot topic in early intervention, and I know it's a hot topic in early childhood education as well. So I want you to take a second and type into chat a topic that you see on screen that you might find interesting. For those of you that are on the phone and aren't actually seeing it, you might have heard one of the topics that I mentioned. So go ahead and type something into your chat box and pick a topic that you think you might want to learn a little more about. Okay, Kimberly types in communication delays. Yeah, that's a really relevant topic for a lot of us. Reagan writes autism spectrum disorder. Yep, I see sensory processing. Two folks have sensory processing. Autism, those seem to be the hot topics. Coaching, Heather writes about coaching. Prematurity. It's interesting. You guys are picking a lot of the same topics: autism, coaching, sensory processing. Rochelle writes inclusive practices. That's a great page because we have a lot of information there about how to help you include the infants and toddlers that maybe have a delay or disability in your care. So good. I'm glad you're seeing lots of things on here that you might like to check out. So I invite you to come and just play around. When you visit these sites, you'll see lots of information. You'll see what are called resource landing pads, which is like a PDF document full of resource links. You'll see archived webinars like what we're doing today. You'll find free articles, handouts. When we can find videos based on the topic that are good, high-quality videos, we link to those. And we also have links to online learning when it's available. And hopefully the online learning opportunities are free. That's what I always look for when I'm kind of trolling around the Internet. So lots of good information there. Another resource that I wanted to show you, awesome, I see you guys are still typing in sensory processing, communication, good, lots of stuff here that can help, I hope. So another resource I wanted to show you is our Talks on Tuesdays webinars. These webinars are free. They're an hour long. There we offer them 9 times a year. They're on the first Tuesday of the month from 12 to 1, and anyone can register, so they're open to anyone. If you visit our Talks on Tuesday page, which you can easily access through the, actually let me put another, you can see down here, it's on our main menu. If you visit the Talks on Tuesday page, you'll find the registration link, and our next webinar is actually happening in August, so we'll have a new link up soon. And so you can join it live. Once you join the webinar, we'll send you a survey afterwards. You complete the survey, and then you get a certificate for an hour of professional development. So you can use that towards your requirements for the state. Another resource we have is we actually record and archive all of our webinars. So we have almost 6 years' worth of webinars recorded. There was probably over 50, 55 webinars, and they're available for you to watch anytime you want for free. You watch the webinar, again, take a survey, and you get a certificate. So there's sort of a wealth of resources there. And we do have archived webinars on sensory processing, on autism, communication delays, and coaching, some of the ones that you guys typed into chat that you were most interested in. So I'm going to show you on the next slide. It'll be a busy slide for your eyes, so I'll warn you, but it's screenshots of about 9 of our webinars. So I'm going to flip it to that slide, and I want you to just take a look. So for those of you that are able to see the screen, you see webinars on communication, executive function skills, feeding, motor development, sensory processing again, and you also see some webinars on some harder topics. like recognizing and responding to child abuse and neglect. We are mandated reporters in early intervention, just like I know you guys are in working in child development too. We also have webinars on poverty. So we have some some difficult topics that we all need to know about as well. So this just gives you an idea of what's out there. The webinar in the center, Building Little Brains Better, I put that in the center because it's a fantastic webinar that was presented by Dr. John Almerode up at James Madison University, and he studies neuroscience. So it's a great one for you if brain development is something you're interested in. It probably is. I invite you to take advantage of that. I see Sharice writes, do you have webinars also for preschool, pre-K age groups? No, Sharice, we actually, in early intervention, we just provide information about children birth through 36 months of age. But you might find some information here, such as the responding to abuse and neglect. You know, some things on here will have a broader take that you could use, but they really focus on the infant and toddler age. It's a great question. Okay, so let me show you my last resource I wanted to highlight, and that is our e-learning center. So you can access the e-learning center from the website that I showed you at the beginning, or you can go straight there at veipd.org/elearn. This website is where we house our online learning modules. And these modules are all free. Again, you complete the module, take the quiz at the end, and you get a certificate. The modules last anywhere from about 45 minutes to 2 hours. And we're building our collection of modules right now. The ones that I think might be most relevant to you all would probably be, we do have a module on inclusion. Remember, Rochelle mentioned that before. We have a great module on prematurity. We have a really good one on social emotional development, and we have a series of modules on hearing, so helping to detect when a child's having difficulties with hearing. Let's see if I can pull my cursor up again. Up here you'll see we have a series of modules, initial certification. So to provide early intervention in Virginia, you have to be certified. So if you click the initial certification link, it doesn't lock you into the certification, but it will send you to another site we have where we have some certification modules, and one of them is a child development module for birth to 3. So for those of you that have maybe new staff coming on, this might be a module that will be helpful for you. We're also designing some new modules that will be posted over the course of the next year on things like family-centered practices. We have one for supporting development within everyday routines. So we've kind of got some more good resources to come. So I just wanted to wrap up with showing you the homepage again, as you'll have the URL. There's actually lots more on the website than I had time to talk about today. We have videos, just tons of stuff. So I hope you'll find it useful. And if you get on the site and you have trouble finding something you need, we certainly have a search feature on the site, but feel free to email me anytime. You'll find my email on the website on the About Us page, but I'll type it into chat too. But you're welcome to email me if you have a topic you need information about. I can help you find it on the site. So I think that's it. If there's any questions, I know you're welcome to type them into chat, and I can certainly take them at the end. But I think that's it, Christy.
Thank you, Dana, so much. So we're kind of coming to the end of our webinar, and I just kind of wanted to sum everything up.
It looks like there's a quick question there that Dana might be able to answer really quick.
Yeah, Dana, can you answer what time of the day are the talks on Tuesdays?
Sure, I can. They're on the first Tuesday of almost every month from 12 to 1. So they'll be over your lunch break. And we start them in September. They run September to December, and then February to, I believe, June. So hopefully y'all will
join us. And I see, Dana, that you put your email address up, so if anyone has any questions, I'm sure they can contact you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for that.
Sure.
So I just wanted to kind of sum up. Lisa even mentioned when she was talking about going to professional development when you're done to kind of go back and reflect. And so I just wanted to sum up today what we've been talking about. First Lisa did talk about those professional competencies and using those to really build your professional development plan. I want you to check that your training garden, just like Lisa was saying. Is there a variety? Check those, make sure you kind of get a variety of trainings and that you're really being well-rounded because there's lots of great information out there. And then Christy talked about our career pathways, and that was really interesting to see that new handout with the different levels, and then also about the impact registry. We really we really want to encourage everyone to go to that registry and start putting in all your information so you can have your trainings and credentials all in one place. So that's a nice professional development tool as well. Katie gave us great information about scholarships through Project Pathfinders and through the Virginia Department of Social Services website scholarship. So that's another great one to keep going with. And then, of course, Dana talked about early intervention, and then she also talked about our talks on Tuesdays, and I even love the idea that all those trainings, all those webinars are archived so we can access them at any time, and then you can do some training that way as well. So I also wanted to mention to you on the Virginia Department of Social Services website, we also have the tips calendar where you can locate trainings. I usually just go to the Virginia Department of Social Services website and type in the search engine tips, and the calendar comes up. And hopefully all of you are familiar with that. We put our trainings up that we're having locally and then even statewide. Trainings such as, 1, 2, 3 Read, and all those are up there as well, plus any other trainings that people have entered throughout the state. So it's a great way for you to see where trainings are and how you can access them. So I did want to give you some resources, and these are also in the handouts if you print them out from our website, which is at the bottom of the screen right now, www.va-itsnetwork.org. Here's also more information on our website at the top of this is a screenshot of our website. At the very top, it scrolls across, and there's actually a link right there for the Project Pathfinder Scholarship that Katie was talking about. So that's another great way to access that information. It's all on our website. So if you look on our website under Professional Development, if you see on the top of the screen right there on the screenshot, it says Professional Development. When you click on that, there will be many things listed there, and the tips calendar is listed there. So you can go to our website, www.va-itsnetwork.org, to access that tips calendar. And that's also the place where you can access some of our bigger trainings that we're having. So we have 1, 2, 3 Read, and our CEPHL social emotional training is on there as well. And then, of course, our audio conferences and webinars. That's where you can access the handouts as well for this webinar. So that's a couple resources for you. And then here again is the actual link to the Project Pathfinders application and that Virginia Department of Social Services, the Child Care Provider Scholarship that they do. So there's those links as well. And again, if you print out those handouts, you'll have these links. Here's the career pathways through the Virginia Department of Social Services. This is the different levels of career pathways that Christy was showing, and then the impact registry that she talked about as well. So those are those links for that. And then I wanted to go through and see if we have any other questions. I see that some people are getting the scholarships, which is wonderful. I'm going to talk a minute about how to get your certificate. I just wanted to touch base with Christy or Lisa if they had anything else they wanted to add before we end the webinar.
Thanks, Paula. This is Lisa again. I just really wanted to emphasize, I know that competencies book is really kind of scary, but I really hope that you'll just take a minute to look through it, because it is really important for us as professionals to have a plan. And I think that it really helps boost our self-esteem. It helps boost our morale when we know that we're headed in a positive direction. And I think that book really is an awesome place to start. I see that Christy John. So I wanted to do a little poll again through the chat box now that we're kind of finished with the training, because we all learn from each other and all get great ideas from everybody else. So if you have found a great training resource that you've used that has been online, any kind of training resource, if you could put that in the chat box, and then maybe we could possibly talk about that. I went ahead and switched back to that slide. I know that a lot of you were probably trying to copy that address down. And just as a reminder, those addresses are on the PowerPoints. If you go to the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network website and go to the audio conference drop-down, there are handouts there, and these are on those handouts. But we did flip back to that screen so that you could copy it down if you needed to. Sorry, Paula. That's good. Okay, so I'm asking if anybody has any ideas that any trainings that they use that are online, any online-based trainings, and Leslie put in EdWeb. Jessica Jones put another one, extension.psu.edu. So that looks like another training resource that we could use as well. There's just so many things out there, and we know you guys don't have a ton of time. So that's why on our website we try to put some of them, and on the Virginia Department of Social Services website there are some. There's another one, Jeannie put tamu.edu, Applebaum Training Institute. So there's lots of great other area trainings out there. I'm waiting to see if anybody else comes up with anything else.
Paula, this is Christy.
Yes.
And I just wanted to mention real quick, if you are a member of your local NAEYC groups, if you've joined NAEYC from the national level and the state level, then you're automatically a member of your local group, and they are often a great resource for trainings. Often they might put on a conference in your area or just trainings throughout the year. But even if your group is not that active, they still have access to different trainings around the state. So I think being part of a professional network is also an extremely great way to grow yourself professionally, because it gives you opportunities to network with others who are doing the work that you do. And that's often how we find out about things, by talking with others and hearing what they're doing and what trainings they've been to and which trainers they like, because that's sometimes challenging. For those of you who said you feel like you're trapped prisoner or you're attending something that you'd rather not be. So just a shout out to joining a professional organization as a resource for your own professional growth.
Thanks, Christy, so much. I think that's really important that looking at those competencies and going back to what Lisa was saying and having that variety, we will also want you to have a variety of different types of training. Online training is great because it's easy in the comfort of your surroundings. But face-to-face trainings are also great too, because we learn so much from everybody else. And I know all my great ideas when I was a teacher came from somebody else. So we really want to utilize that networking as much as you can as well to create that variety. I think it's really important. So I think since if there are no further questions, I'm trying to wait to see if anybody types anything in. We kind of gave you a lot of information today. And hopefully you'll print out those handouts so that will be a little easier. Those resources and things will be on there. We truly believe in the field of early childhood and the importance of it. And we want you guys to feel as professional as you are, because we need to raise our profession up and hopefully people will realize how important we are. So somebody is saying the Impact Registry link does not work. I think we're going to look something up quickly as well, but you probably could just Google Impact Registry Virginia, and that might come up as well. And it should be on the Department of Social Services website somewhere. So we might have gotten a letter here or there mixed up, unfortunately. I apologize for that. Okay, so I'm going to kind of sum everything up and let everybody, okay, so I did want to let you guys know, again, that this webinar was brought to you by the Virginia Infant and Toddler Specialist Network. All of you are familiar with that, hopefully, because you're here on the webinar. We would like to thank you so much for participating, either through the webinar or through the phone. We'd also like to thank Katie and Dana for providing us with all their great information today. In order to receive your certificate of participation in this webinar, you must fill out the evaluation that was sent to you when you received your information about logging on today. So you must fill out the evaluation and either mail, fax, or email it to CDR. Once your evaluation has been received, a certificate will be sent to you. The contact information for CDR is located on the evaluation that was sent to you. If you have any questions, you can contact any of your regional infant and toddler specialists, and they will help you. And again, that Those are listed on on our website, www.va-itsnetwork.org. Our next scheduled audio conference will be on October 6, 2016. That one will just be over the phone. It won't be a webinar. Please visit our website, again, www.va-itsnetwork.org. And on that one, if you click on professional development, the audio conference will be there, and there will be information for registering for that event soon. Also on our website, I do want to note out that we have some big trainings coming up. We have our 1, 2, 3 read trainings that are scheduled throughout the state throughout this fall and winter. And then we also have our CEFL trainings. Those are our trainings on social emotional development. And we have a few of those scheduled already here in the North region and the North Central region. So please, those are wonderful trainings, 2-day trainings, get lots of great information and lots of great participation and ideas from your co-participants. So I strongly encourage you to register for those. They fill up quickly, so get on that and register on our website for those as well. So I did notice that Lisa,
I just added that I think the main page for the impact registry is the earlychildhood.virginia.gov page, or at least it's attached to there. So hopefully if you are looking for the impact registry information and you're not finding it through Google, then that might help you out. And then there's a couple more questions about evaluations. That email that you used to link into this webinar, to the side, there's also a link to the evaluation, I believe. So you should have received that to be able to link back into it.
So we want to say thank you again on behalf of Lisa, myself, Paula, and Christy, and Dana and Katie. Thank you again for participating. Don't forget to send in those evaluations so you can get your certificate. And again, any questions, contact your local infant and toddler specialist. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
And thank you both ladies.